found teachers along the way, and then I've lived in monasteries and all that, so then I found those kind of teachers. My two most moments that really turned me seriously in another direction was that I saw Edith Piaf perform in 1959 in Hollywood at the Macambo nightclub. Before then, I thought I was going to go more into show business. I don't know. I thought that's what I would end up doing, more commercially viable work. And then I saw her, and I just decided, no, it's got to be an internal. I've got to go in and see.
What did you see?
Just her simplicity, and it could have all been an act. That was probably her act, but I bought into it, and there was something, just her standing there in this black dress, with clunky shoes, and the movie that was recently out. I didn't relate to that at all because it's not how she was, and I saw her just a year before she died. But she sang with her heart. It was all heart, and I realized that I was just really into technique. So I was so drawn to that it turned me. And then another performer that I saw, this is when I was later living in California, in the, I guess, late 70s, early 80s, was Min Tanaka. He had come from, and this was before the whole Buto. Nobody knew about Buto. He just happened to be traveling around. And there was a group of us invited to come and witness this guy in a very small room. And I was moved to tears at the simplicity and the commitment, moment to moment to moment to moment. And the simplicity, he he is, I guess he's still a beautiful man, and everything he did was gorgeous, but it was really the simplicity and the commitment that was so beautiful. And so that influenced me. These very basic things, heart, beauty, simplicity, commitment. These are the kinds of things that I'm interested in. Wow. But my God, we have to go through hell to get there. Because it's so not in our nature. It's not in our nature. It's not in our, it is in our nature, but it's not in our culture. It's not supported in our culture. We have to fight our way through to sit still in this culture. Yeah. It's really the nature of action rather than action. We really examine the nature of action. And because what isn't, everything is action. Even sitting still is action. The breath is action. So it's about examining, as you said, deconstructing, reconstructing.
It's reverse engineering in a way.
Reverse engineering. I don't know about that, but that sounds good. In this group, when we first got in the circle, our first circle, and I asked people what they wanted, and the word presence came up an awful lot, which is... And then I asked different people what they meant, and they all meant, trying to, all of a sudden the mouth gets full of cotton, it's very complicated. I had dinner the other night with my friend Nancy Stark-Smith, who lives here. She and I are always talking about these ideas, and is she going to be one of your people?
Hopefully.
Hopefully. So we were trying to define presence, the simplest way, without getting really complicated and taking out reels of your digital whatever it is. It's not
gigabytes of presence.
Gigabytes, it's not tapes anymore. It's about being where you are. That's all I would say was being where you are. If your body is here, this is where you're here. Rather than your body is here and you're somewhere else. Yeah. Now, your body can be here, you can be here and engaging in thoughts. It's not like we're cutting off our heads and our minds and our imaginations and our fantasies and our thoughts, but we're approaching it through this lens of body, which is here. And it's that simple, really, but it's several lifetimes of practice. Here. This is the space that thing happened in. Right? This space right here is always the space. It's always the space that things happen in. Okay? So as an we're always resting in that space that everything's happening in. makes a difference. Because what happens normally, unless we practice a couple lifetimes or something, we think that what's happening is the space that everything's happening in. We think that that's the only thing that there is. So, together, okay? So movement and improvisation together, and your focus is on two things. And when you take action, you are either joining somebody in what they're doing, as they're doing it, where they're doing it, how they're doing it, how they are inside of how they're doing it, or you're doing something very contrasted. In what ways, Tony?
Shape, time,
space. Time. What do we mean by time? Rhythm. Duration, and speed. Okay, so time, space. What else? Oh,
shape,
time, space, shape. What does space mean?
Emptiness. The amount of space it takes, the size of the space it takes.
The size of the space, the action shape in the room.
Whether it travels or not.
Whether it travels or not.
The kind of directions it takes.
How it locates is a really big thing. Because we're silent now, so you do not have to hover around each other. You can really play with the space between you. Actually, I like that to be part of your contrast for sure. Okay, but what else?
That dynamics.
That's the dynamics. Okay, so all those things are the form. The time, the space, the shape, the dynamics. What else is there to an action? Like, what's the point? It's content. Yeah, that's the point. That's the point. Okay, that's its function. Okay, so standing neutral. I guess because since I've been in that kind of practice, which I'm not, by the way, anymore, I didn't walk away from it. I just decided to move to New Mexico instead of ashrams, so instead of zendos. The space, the silence, the big sky was my teacher now for this period of life. It could change, but that seems to be my teacher. I just didn't want to deal with the concepts and the ideas anymore. Just being quiet seems to work for me. So it's all about practice, and because I've been practicing that since I've been 17 years old, my mind just works a certain way. It's again, it comes to the brain, I guess, and the patterns that get created by practicing over and over, hours, months, years. All of a sudden, the world takes on a different gloss, and so the gloss affects the improvisations, and the improvisations affect the gloss. I mean, everything affects. There's only one mind here, and so it is what it is, and all the ideas in my both Zen practice, a little bit of some monastery time. I did monastery time in Nepal.
In the Sahara or in Nepal?
In Nepal, with the teacher there. I've been more recently interested in Advaita, which comes out of India, because it's just got less rigmarole. It's just easy. It just really looks directly at how the mind does its due, and all that. And so it's surely affected. I'm sure it's affected this form of improvisation because, but I can't really say directly, oh well, I took that and I made that. It's just that it's the same gloss.
Yeah, and in a certain way, that is a characteristic of your approach, that simultaneity of things. I one of the things that I found remarkable was in one phrase that you put. They're all connected. Is perception, imagination, and memory. Like where the material come from or something. So can you talk a little bit about that? And I found it fascinating that also in neurobiology that is, as you are imagining something that is coupled with a memory all the time.
Oh.
You never imagine something that is just an imagination. So then, there's something very interesting there.
Okay. Psych in together rather than just coming in there and doing what you're going to do. Let the family that you're sitting at the table with create the conversation. Okay? Eyes are active. Face is available, is active, is congruent with how you're experiencing this action. What its content is for you. Whatever it is that's going on right now with you, saturate even more.